Dear Radiant Leo, something extraordinary is about to unfold, something that has not happened in 1,000 years. This coming week, the stars align to open a rare cosmic portal, and through it, double luck and unexpected wealth are already rushing toward you. This is not wishful thinking. This is alignment at the highest level, and the fact that you're here right now is no accident. There are moments in life when the universe speaks so clearly that ignoring the call becomes the only mistake. This video was created with one purpose: to help you decode a once-in-a-millennium opportunity that is written specifically into your cosmic blueprint. What I am about to reveal isn't just a forecast, it's a soul-aligned strategy that blends ancient wisdom with practical action, so you can activate the wealth, visibility, and power you were born to embody. So let me ask you, Leo, have you felt a stirring lately, like something deeper than logic is pushing you toward a bolder version of yourself? Have you sensed that your timing is no longer random but sacred? That's because it is. This is your turning point. The stars, led by Jupiter, the great amplifier of fortune, are forming a rare and harmonious activation with your ruling sun. Together, they awaken what I call double luck energy, an energetic synergy that doesn't just bring luck, but attracts wealth from both outer circumstances and inner alignment. You're being positioned now to reclaim the authority of your own light. This isn't a time to hope. This is a time to remember who you truly are and act from that remembrance. Because when Leo remembers their power, the world doesn't just notice, it transforms. This episode is more than a reading. It's a sacred map for your money path, your soul path, and the divine fire that has been resting within you far too long. I created this not to entertain, but to help you awaken. And before we go deeper, let me take a heartfelt moment to say thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for watching, for commenting, for liking, for subscribing, not just to a channel, but to your own transformation. Every click, every word you leave in the comments, draws you closer to a space where awakened souls like you gather to remember, rise, and manifest together. Your presence here is part of something much bigger than an algorithm. It's part of a sacred reunion, and I see you. I see your light. And I trust that by the end of this video, you'll see it more clearly too. So stay with me until the very last moment, because what the universe is unveiling is not just guidance, it's your gateway. It's your cosmic permission to rise higher than you ever thought possible, and wealth, real, rooted, and aligned, is just the beginning. Let me know in the comments below. What led you here today? Was it intuition, a feeling, or something unexplainable? Whatever brought you here, you're right on time. Let's step through this portal together. When Jupiter forms a quincunx to the Sun in Leo while simultaneously trining the Moon in Sagittarius, a very rare energetic signature is activated, one that speaks not only to prosperity but to profound personal permission. This is not simply good luck in the way most people casually reference the word. It is the cosmic equivalent of two sacred rivers converging into one forceful stream. The waters have always been flowing, but now, the banks widen, the current accelerates, and what once seemed distant now rushes to meet you. You, dear Leo, are not just a recipient of this energy, you are its container and conductor. Jupiter is the planet of expansion, abundance, divine order, and spiritual law. When it engages with your solar identity, the Sun in Leo, it does more than bless, it activates. It calls forth the gifts you've been carrying quietly, even subconsciously, and demands their expression. It asks, What truth of yours is ready to be seen, valued, and shared with the world? Not for performance, but for impact. Not for validation, but for purpose. The harmonious trine from the moon in Sagittarius deepens this calling. Sagittarius is the sign of the seeker, the teacher, the translator of meaning, and when it joins hands with the moon, your inner world becomes illuminated with a desire to connect what you know with what others need. This energy invites you to realize that your lived experiences, your emotional intelligence, your intuitive knowing, they are not random or redundant. They are the curriculum the world is secretly praying to learn from. Meanwhile, Venus's presence in Virgo brings discernment to this awakening. While the emotional and visionary planets expand, Venus in this grounded Earth sign reminds you that love, including self-love, must be practical. Systems must support dreams. Value must be measured not only by passion but by the ability to sustain and scale. This is where the transformation of passion into resource becomes more than poetic, it becomes structural. If Jupiter and the moon say, yes, Venus quietly whispers, then organize it. Mars in Aries injects this moment with divine action. There's no waiting in this transit. No more rehearsing behind closed doors. The door is already open. Mars doesn't ask for permission. It takes the blueprint and builds. This is where the fire of Leo finds its twin flame, not in performance, but in motion. Action is sacred when it comes from aligned desire. And Leo, your aligned desire is not to dominate, but to inspire through creation. And then there is Saturn, the ancient keeper of karma, watching from Pisces. Gentle but firm, it reminds you that every opportunity comes with responsibility. That which arrives quickly must be stewarded slowly. Saturn here doesn't restrict, it anchors. It asks you to meet the wave of luck with equal depth of maturity. To know what you are calling in, not just emotionally or spiritually, but practically, and to be ready to hold it with both hands and both feet on the ground. So in this rare celestial choreography, you are offered two keys. One is external, the alignment of these 5 planetary forces. The other is internal, your willingness to meet this moment with courage, clarity, and readiness. Just like a flame needs both spark and oxygen to ignite, this portal requires timing and participation. You are the match. The cosmos is the wind. And what can happen when those two forces meet? That is the miracle we are standing in front of right now. Not by accident. Not by chance. But by divine sequence. How much have you truly believed in yourself? Not the surface-level confidence that waxes and wanes with circumstances, but the quiet, unwavering faith in your own essence, the kind that doesn't need to prove anything, because it simply knows. In this chapter of your journey, the invitation is not to build a business, a brand, or even a vision, but to rebuild the sacred space of your inner home. This is where true wealth begins. Before anything external can expand, it must be supported by the strength of what lives inside. Think of your inner self as a temple, not in a metaphorical sense, but as a real, energetic structure that holds the architecture of your values, boundaries, and identity. Every time you dismiss your voice, ignore your needs, or shrink your truth to fit someone else's frame, you chip away at the walls of that temple. And just like a house that's not maintained, it becomes vulnerable to the winds of the world. But the moment you begin investing back into yourself, not out of ego, but out of reverence, you begin restoring this structure. Brick by brick. truth by truth. This is where the metaphor of inner real estate becomes not only poetic but essential. We often speak about investing in property or land as a symbol of stability and long-term wealth. But what if the most valuable property you'll ever own is your self-worth? What if the most important renovation is the rewriting of your personal narrative, the one you tell yourself when no one is listening? This is your foundation. And from this foundation, everything else is built. Rebranding yourself isn't about changing who you are. It's about remembering who you are and choosing to express that more clearly, more fully, and more boldly. Update your online presence not to impress the world, but to mirror back your growth. Adjust your bio, your images, your language, let them tell a deeper truth. Begin to build a body of work, whether visible or private, that reflects your inner alignment. Take courses, read, challenge your mind not because you need to improve, but because you are evolving, and your container must stretch to hold the new version of you that's rising. This isn't about becoming better, it's about becoming more honest. A house built on false floors eventually collapses. But one that's reconstructed with care, with intention, and with deep self-regard can weather any storm. Even the smallest upgrades matter. Saying no when you used to say yes, choosing nourishment over numbing, setting boundaries where you used to stay silent. Each choice is a renovation of your inner sanctuary. Like a gardener tending to sacred soil, your job now is to nourish your roots, not to impress anyone with your branches, but to deepen the unseen foundation beneath your surface. The deeper the root, the higher the bloom. And the world needs your bloom, not a filtered version of it, but the raw, radiant expression of who you are at your core. So take a moment to ask yourself, where have I been neglecting my own structure? Where have I outsourced my worth, or ignored the voice that says I'm meant for more? And most importantly, what would it feel like to reclaim that space fully, lovingly, without apology? Leave a comment below and tell me, what part of you is ready to be seen, honored, and received by the world in a new way? Because it's time. Not for the world to finally accept you, but for you to accept the vast, sacred, invaluable nature of who you've always been. And from there, everything changes. When Mars enters Aries, it awakens a pulse of primal momentum, and for you, Leo, this isn't just about action, it's about the kind of action that redefines your role in the world. You've always been seen as a natural leader. But now, something deeper is being asked of you. Not leadership rooted in position, volume, or performance, but the kind of leadership that radiates from truth. From lived wisdom. From a soul that has walked through its own fire and come out refined, not burned. Mars charges you not with command, but with clarity. It doesn't demand you lead louder, it invites you to lead more consciously. This is a shift from traditional leadership to what we call thought leadership. And the difference is profound. One issues instructions. The other offers vision. One seeks followers. The other calls forward equals. To be a thought leader is to become a living channel for a higher insight, not just repeating what you've learned, but transforming it through the prism of your own experience and offering it back as embodied wisdom. That is your current initiation. And it's not abstract. It's wildly practical. Right now, your gifts, the ones you take for granted, are asking to be shaped into something tangible. You're not just meant to know what you know. You're meant to teach it, record it, refine it, and release it. This isn't about hustle. It's about honoring the sacred economy of energy. What flows through you is meant to circulate beyond you. Whether it's through an online course, a coaching offering, a blog series, a podcast, a private workshop, or even a simple video filmed from your desk, your wisdom is currency. And you're being asked to distribute it. This doesn't mean you must have all the answers. It means you've been through enough to share something meaningful. To turn your lessons into light. What you're creating now isn't just content, it's legacy. And that legacy becomes the foundation for sustainable wealth, influence, and impact. Not because you strive for power, but because you've realized that your power has always been in how you show up, how you speak, how you serve. Leo, you are the archetypal monarch. But the highest expression of a monarch is not control, it's empowerment. The wisest leaders are those who create space for others to rise. When you teach someone how to access their own light, you don't lose yours. You multiply it. That's the true heart of sustainable leadership. It's not about commanding attention. It's about commanding purpose and using every resource you have, every story you've lived, every insight you've earned, to offer something real. In many wisdom traditions, the image of the flame is used to represent both awareness and guidance. One candle lighting another does not lose its fire, it creates more light. That is your role now. You are not here to burn alone, but to ignite. And that process starts not with shouting louder, but with recognizing that your quiet truths, the things you've learned the hard way, are your most powerful contributions. The moment you begin offering that truth in service to others is the moment you step fully into this new age of your personal brand, not as a mask you wear, but as a mirror that reflects what's real and noble within you. You don't have to prove yourself anymore. You only need to present yourself authentically, clearly, generously. The right people will recognize the signal you send. And from there, everything begins to change. Not because you're trying to lead, but because you finally remembered that you already are. Not all wisdom needs to sit in silence. Some forms of knowing are meant to move, to circulate, to grow into structures that support your life with grace and steadiness. You've spent years gathering insight, learning what works, unlearning what doesn't, and storing information like sacred seeds, but now is the time to plant them. Because truth, when left unused, becomes weight. But truth, when placed into practice, becomes wealth. There's a quiet danger in becoming a collector of ideas. It feels safe. It gives you the illusion of progress without the vulnerability of action. But energy, like water, stagnates when it doesn't move. The same applies to your financial potential. You don't need more theories or bigger dreams, you need strategy, rhythm, and a commitment to turning what you know into what you live. This is the essence of applied intelligence, and it's where the true alchemy begins. Think of your financial ecosystem the way you'd think of a garden. You wouldn't keep seeds in a drawer for years and expect to be fed. You'd organize your soil, learn the seasons, observe how much water and sun is needed, and then show up, day by day, with care and patience. Your skills, your knowledge, your personal story, they are the seeds. But the structure? That's your budgeting system, your investment plan, your financial literacy. Without structure, even the most vibrant intention can't thrive. Right now, with Jupiter activating long-term growth and expansion, you are standing at the beginning of a 12-year cycle. This is your window to create not just income, but independence. Not just wealth, but inner stability. Begin by choosing one area to automate. Maybe it's tracking your daily spending, categorizing your expenses with a finance app, or setting up a system that reminds you where your money flows each month. Automation is not about control, it's about creating freedom from emotional friction, so your decisions aren't ruled by guesswork or guilt, but by clarity. Then, step into the realm of learning, not in broad, overwhelming doses, but in small, steady moments of applied curiosity. Explore the basics of investing, whether it's understanding stocks, digital assets, or real estate portfolios. You're not expected to become an expert overnight. You're simply asked to meet your future self halfway. Create a 12-year learning fund, even if it starts small. Save not just for emergencies, but for expansion, for the version of you who is bolder, wiser, and more deeply resourced. One of the universal laws woven through every spiritual path is that what we steward well, expands. What we mismanage, contracts. When you show the universe that you can hold with care what you already have, more begins to flow to you, not as a reward, but as a natural consequence of readiness. And readiness, in this case, doesn't come from wishing. It comes from willingness. This is a sacred moment to stop merely thinking about money and start engaging with it. Not from fear. Not from greed. But from a place of respect, clarity, and vision. Wealth does not begin in your bank account. It begins in how you regard the energy that flows through your hands, whether you dismiss it, fear it, or choose to honor it. And when you honor it, it multiplies. So let me ask you, what will you invest 30 minutes in today that your future self will thank you for? What piece of knowledge could you turn into a habit, a strategy, a system? The answers don't need to be perfect. They only need to begin. Because once your wisdom finds form in spreadsheets, decisions, savings, and systems, it transforms into something you can build a life upon. And that's the kind of wealth no one can take from you. When the sun shines through Leo and Venus moves with quiet precision in Virgo, something extraordinary begins to stir, the marriage of passion and purpose with practical, tangible form. You may have felt this as a low hum in your chest or an inexplicable urgency in your hands, the sense that what once lived quietly inside you now wants to be shared, shaped, and structured. This is not just about doing what you love. It's about transforming what you love into something that sustains you, something that supports others, and something that leaves a mark beyond the moment. There is a quiet truth often overlooked. Passion alone does not build a life. Fire, without form, eventually burns out. But when that fire is given direction, when it is poured into containers like projects, products, services, or platforms, it becomes radiant and enduring. And that's exactly the opportunity being handed to you now. Your creative spark is not a hobby to be hidden. It's a sacred tool. And Venus in Virgo, meticulous and purposeful, urges you to honor it as such. You don't need to be the best in the world at something to offer it. You only need to be willing to begin where you are and bring your full attention to the process. Whether you're creating digital content, writing a guidebook, recording your voice, or crafting with your hands, what matters most is that you infuse your work with meaning. When your actions arise from sincerity, usefulness, and presence, they begin to take root not only in your life but in the lives of those you touch. Think of your gifts like water held in cupped palms. If you clutch too tightly, they spill. If you don't hold them at all, they vanish. But when you find the balance, when you hold them gently yet with intention, they become drinkable, shareable, and nourishing. Your knowledge, your talent, your eye for beauty, your ability to solve problems, these are the waters you carry. They were never meant to stay hidden. They were meant to flow through channels that also feed you back. The ancient teachings remind us that right livelihood is more than work. It is a spiritual act of alignment. It's the point where your inner calling and outer action become one, and in that unity, abundance arises. Not just material abundance, but energetic clarity. The feeling that you are finally living from your center, and that everything you create reflects something true about who you are and what you're here to contribute. Now is not the time to second-guess your gifts. Now is the time to package them with reverence. Build systems that allow your passion to repeat, scale, and support you. This could mean creating a digital course, teaching one-on-one, offering design services, or launching a small handmade product line. Whatever form your talent takes, let it become more than a fleeting flame. Let it become a hearth, one that warms others and anchors your life with purpose. And remember, your real asset does not sit in your bank account. It lives in your hands, your voice, your heart, the places that have already held and shaped your deepest passions. You are not lacking resources. You are waiting to recognize that you are the resource. So Leo, light your fire not just to warm yourself, but to illuminate a path. There are others who will walk more bravely because you did. There are lives that will shift simply because you shared what you love in a way that made it useful, beautiful, and real. And in doing so, the universe will respond in kind by multiplying the very light you chose to offer. You don't need permission to shine, Leo, because your light was never borrowed, it was born. The double luck coming your way next week is not some random blessing falling out of the sky. It's a reflection of everything you've been becoming. It's the moment when divine timing meets personal readiness, when what you've planted finally begins to bloom. This energy doesn't arrive to surprise you, it arrives to meet the version of you who has quietly been doing the work, learning the lessons, and holding the vision. So if you've been waiting for a sign, for a confirmation, for a reason to believe that now is the time, this is it. This is your moment to stop dimming your light to fit into places that were never built to hold your fire. You were not made to be small, and you were not made to seek validation for your brilliance. You were made to lead with love, to move with clarity, and to stand in the power of knowing who you are, not someday, but now. And I want you to sit with this question as you move into your week. What would your life look like if you stopped asking for permission and started acting from alignment? What would you create, share, or launch if you trusted that your gifts were more than enough? That your passion wasn't random, but part of your divine assignment? The truth is, you are already equipped. The only thing left to do is to trust your own yes. To take what you've learned in this message and actually apply it. That might look like setting up your financial system, outlining a digital product, or simply speaking your truth in a space where you've been silent. Whatever it is, start somewhere, because small action becomes momentum, and momentum becomes magic. Thank you for being here, not just as a listener, but as someone who showed up for their own journey. Your presence means more than you know. Every like, every comment, every subscription to this channel brings you deeper into the energy of this soul-aligned space, eternal mindfulness where energy, destiny, and conscious action converge. Your support allows us to continue sharing these transformational messages with those who need them most, and I thank you, from the center of my heart, for walking this path alongside us. Now, I invite you to affirm your alignment out loud and in the comments below. I am the light, and I choose to shine exactly when the universe calls my name. Because it is calling and you are ready. If this message stirred something in you, please like this video, subscribe to Eternal Mindfulness, and share it with someone else who may be ready to step into their own breakthrough. Together, let's amplify this energy across our entire Leo collective, not just to receive abundance, but to become the source of it for the world around us.